Please welcome
the Simone Filer Podcast. Subscribe to the channel.
A warm welcome to everyone in the audience.
Like and share the videos to help indie authors get their story out to the people who need to hear them. And welcome to the Simone Filer Podcast.
Welcome.
Giving authors a platform.
G'day there, Simone Filer. Kim Billington joins me on the podcast today. Master of Counselling, Master of Narrative Therapy, Bachelor of Education, Clinical Supervisor and Workshop Facilitator with over 30 years experience supporting people through life's most challenging moments. Kim's just wrapped up narrating her incredibly insightful new audiobook, Integrating Spiritual Conversations in Therapy. Welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Thanks, Simone.
Thank you so much for doing your book with me. Right at the end there, something was caught and I just couldn't even say anything to you.
Yeah.
Tears. I was like, thanks for making me cry before the podcast today.
Yeah, pretty deep stuff.
It is incredibly insightful, and anybody that listens to it is going to grow for sure. So how did you find the process? I got to ask that first, right? Working with me in the studio.
Oh, you are amazing, Simone, and made me relaxed, and you were a really good encourager. So at times where I thought, why am I here? Should I be here? You would just have this lovely little encouragement, and that was it, off we'd go.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's what I want to do. I want to facilitate that you feel like comfortable enough and at ease enough to be your authentic self in there. So I'm glad I did my job. Okay, Integrating Spiritual Conversations in Therapy is not your first book. You've written a few others, Counselling Conversations and A Counsellor's Companion among them. Amazon bestsellers.
Yeah, well, the first one was the one for child counsellors, and that was wonderful, and it's an e-book, so people who are on a low wage learning to become a counsellor can just get an e-book and get some tips about working in counselling with children and families. Oh,
awesome. I'd love to chat with you about that as well, but we're talking about integrating spiritual conversations in therapy because I would imagine it's a different outlook to your other books somehow because it's obviously very spiritual. But tell me how the idea of writing the book came to you.
Well, people have been asking me, when are you writing your third book, for a long time, and I kept saying, no, I'm done, two's plenty. But what happened is the way I work is so different from everyone else. The perspective on life and the preciousness of this lifetime, and how narrative therapy in particular looks at people's strengths as well as their problems. And it all came together really I wanted to just say how I work, because it has inspired a lot of my clients and the other counsellors that come to me for supervision. So people have given me feedback that the way I work has been helpful.
I was thinking it's a bit of a woo-woo thing, bringing, spirituality the way you do into therapy. How did you first start thinking this is important that I listen to this, or I, tell people about this?
Yeah, well, 1980 was when Carl Rogers wrote his last book shortly before he died, and in it he started talking about, I now believe in reincarnation, I work spiritually with my clients, and, I was thinking, look, if Carl Rogers can come out, well, so can I.
Yeah. So what was the first interaction that you had with one of your clients about spirituality?
Usually it's when someone they love is dying, and they're trying to make sense of, well, what will happen then, this person they've been with for a long time, or after a suicide, asking me explicitly, do you think they're still around, what will have happened, and things like that. So a lot of the conversations early on in my development of my practice were around death, and so really that's we talk about, we've got life and then there's afterlife, but it's all one life. We open one door and we come into a house, and that's this life, and then we open the back door and go out, and that's into the next part of life, which doesn't need the physical body.
And obviously you've been working with near-death patients for, who have crossed over and their families for quite some time, and it kind of made, death look a little bit I'm not going to say attractive because obviously nobody knows, but not as scary when you were discussing it in your book. How do the patients first start talking about seeing their relatives and, and how close are they then to death? Do you understand that? Do you know that sort of thing?
Yeah, look, I've read a lot of books. As I told you this morning, there's 19 pages of references in the hard copy.
Yeah.
A lot of nurses and doctors have written about these very questions. And, I would encourage people to research these things. What do people see towards the end of their life in terms of relatives that have already passed over? The evidence is all out there. And although it might not be replicable scientifically, because these things happen spontaneously, it's more than anecdotal evidence.
I had an author actually pass over fairly recently within the last couple of years, and I was speaking to his wife who's still here, and that he actually started talking about his mum and saying, "You're here, Mum, how come you're here?" in the days beforehand. Yeah. And that was the first sort of time I've heard of anything like this as such.
Yeah.
Because I didn't notice that it was happening with my mum when she passed. So, that was a profound thing when you went into details, and that a lot of people have experienced that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you've experienced some incredibly spiritual things as well along the way. And
yes.
I felt like a presence from you, in you. Do you feel that? Because, tell me about that.
Yeah, well, at times I'm not really in my body correctly. Part of me's here, grounded, doing my work, working with clients, working with counsellors in supervision, training, and I'm absolutely grounded. And then at other times, it's as if there's two parts of me. One is in a more ethereal existence. And it's hard to explain if you're very grounded in solid matter. And I think, to be honest, one of the things that helps is not to be attracted to materialistic things. So money, security, because the security of this earth is limited. And at the moment we're going through a crisis where, the fuel's limited and everyone's panicking. But no, I'm not panicking because, yes, we might all go through really, really hard times. We might be going through something really tragic, but part of us won't be in the body suffering. Part of us is out there in the spiritual world still. We're not 100% in the body.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think people with different psychoses and things like that, they're less in their body.
That's very interesting.
In sleep, think about when you go to sleep. Are you in your body?
No, who knows? No.
No, most of the parts of us that are spiritual are not in the body.
Yeah, we're getting recharged somewhere over there.
That's right.
That we don't know about, that we're not aware of.
Yeah.
And like parts of your book, it's a lot. I've got so many questions, and it's like an intense 4-day course that we've just been on for me.
Yeah.
So there's so much, and it is my favourite topic, talking about this, and I feel very spiritual. And you bringing in the fact that we've got the war happening and the petrol crisis and everything. There's a lot of people talking about that we're here for something. And I don't want to call it end days, but it's the whole everyone everywhere is looking at us for the growth that we're going through at the moment. Do you know about that?
Well, maybe I haven't followed all that to the same extent that you have, but again, these times have been predicted for a long time, where we will have to dig deep and come to some kind of spiritual understanding that it's not the material things that matter, it's human beings that matter, and connection.
And then I'm going to circle back to the dying part, because there was a thing that when you were reading a particular part of your book that I thought about when babies come. And I haven't got too many babies around me at the moment, but when you see babies, they kind of look off. Young babies, they look off into the distance as if they're seeing spirits. You know
Totally.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
And, what do you think of that?
Oh yeah. Well, again, if you're thinking about the incarnation of the person's soul and spirit, right? the little baby hasn't yet fully incarnated. The spiritual part of the child hasn't fully incarnated. They're far more dreamy, and very often people will say, "Oh, they're looking in a certain corner as though someone is there."
Yeah, yep, that's what I notice. And then, do you think we eventually fully come into our body where we can?
Yeah, but I don't think it's like we're fully in there, locked in. We again at night time. Part of us leaves and has a dream experience. Sometimes people's dreams are, they have premonitions and things like that. So, we're most complex beings and people don't really understand us. The scientists certainly don't.
Yeah.
And we have to be okay with not knowing everything.
Yeah, that's right. There are different things that you mention in your book, from reincarnation to serendipity to... I think death soul and all sorts of things that are some that I know of, others that I was enlightened by. But human beings, I know you're saying we're all different, but, some people can sort of see or get a sense of the spirituality where other people are just completely closed off to it or just can't see it at all. Yep. Do you think they're non-player characters, or do you think they have souls, those sort of people?
How are we to know what each individual has come to do on Earth? We've all come to do different things, and for some people they have to go into really a more hardened materialistic engagement. I was watching a homeless man be interviewed, and he said, people think I'm not human, But the thing is, he has found it hard to find his footing in the world. You and I have, been to school, been to university or whatever, and we've found a footing in the world. But some people come into the world and they find it hard to find their place here. Others think, great, this is capitalism time, materialistic time, wham, I'm in, making money, and they don't need to be spiritual because they've come to enjoy, maybe for the first time in all their lifetimes, an opportunity to have power. I just don't judge anyone.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to be. Do you think it's a learning playground, Earth?
Yeah, definitely. But, individually, we've definitely come with things to learn. I mean, in the book I talk about the spelling test,
Yeah.
If you've learnt a word on the spelling list that the teacher gives you, she's not going to put that on the list for next week. So this is my understanding, is that you come to Earth with a whole list of things you've agreed to. Some are harrowing, horrible. And from that, anyone that's been through, trauma will know that a certain quality grows inside you where you know right from wrong, and you would never do that to someone else. Your principles of living are completely different. And so, you've learnt to be maybe more compassionate or loving through going through hardship. So we all have different lessons.
And you also talk about where the individual drops into a collective ocean, or used a quote to demonstrate that.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you look at the ocean and then a wave comes up and then the wave goes down, does that wave die? Or has it gone back into the collective ocean?
Yeah.
And so this is how I feel, is that we are unique individual spirits and souls, but we come from this totally unified place as humans.
How did you find out about that, or what gave you the inclination to go looking, or
well,
discovering?
As I shared in the last chapter where I talk about my personal destiny, is, kind of out of the blue, a friend says to me one day when I'm 16, do you want to come on Friday night to the Theosophical Society? My dad belongs there, and they've got a great library and they have interesting speakers. And I just said yes. And, not having had a religious upbringing, I was always just open to anything. A friend had previously said, do you want to come to the Quaker meeting house, But even before that, I'd read spiritual texts. One of them was Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha. I read that when I was about 14. At 16, I'm there every Friday night at the Theosophical Society, interesting speakers talking about everything you've just been speaking about now.
Yeah.
So here I am, 50 years later, it's not that I've accumulated this knowledge and refresh it and write it down. A lot of it is like awakening. It's if there's such a thing as reincarnation, I probably knew a lot of this last time. That's all I can explain it by.
Right, yeah. You've got a really amazing way of being able to make it insightful and understandable, because a lot of it is, for a lot of people, maybe people watching thinking, why are they talking about all this weird stuff?
Yeah.
This weird stuff, because reincarnation and talking about that in therapy to me is like, I haven't had a conversation with my therapist when I've seen a therapist on occasions about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that people do think about these things.
Absolutely.
And also in regards to nature, how it calms your nerves. You go out and touch grass or, sit next to a lake.
And you have to be open to what's being given to you. You can't be in your head thinking, oh, Kim said I should go and touch a tree. It's a matter of letting go of the thoughts and being in this expanded body which also has energy, and receiving what nature's got to give you, and it's got a lot.
That just reminded me of something that's happened to me recently that you just described. I used to play the guitar when I was younger. I told you I wanted to be a rock star. Here I am listening to amazing books. But I used to play guitar, and when I'd play it, I'd, obviously really try, and I'd be thinking about it and why can't I remember the chords and it doesn't go there. Very recently, I've picked the guitar up again, and I've just discovered that it's not actually about remembering what's next. It's just about letting it flow.
Yeah.
Because my hands know where to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's about letting go, isn't it?
Yes.
It's hard to do.
I think it's also developmental. I think as you approach, your 40s and 50s, the mind doesn't need to worry about things as much. You already know quite a lot.
Yeah.
So you can come into your heart more. The book was originally going to be called Camino to the Heart.
Right.
But everyone who I showed the cover photo to said, oh, you're going on a Camino.
Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah. And I thought, no, I've got to change this.
Yeah.
But, going back to that question about, people going to therapy, I mean, people come to me and talk about, that they came together with their partner because they must have had a soul contract, for example. Or we only came together for the children. Now, what does that actually mean? What are they actually saying? Did they design the coming together for the children? People often say things without thinking what's behind that perception that two people came together, and then they call it a soul contract. And I think that's all I do in counselling. I slow people down and ask them, zoom out of it. Zoom out and tell me what you actually mean when you use those words. Or people will say, we had the funeral last week. It was as if he was looking down on us. So zoom out. Are you sensing that part of him has survived, an essence of him, and you perceive that? Or do you think it's just a hallucination? Just tell me what, and nobody says it's a hallucination.
No. I've got another story for that.
Wonderful.
Is that? I feel I'm in a therapy
lovely,
session.
share.
It was with my dog Alex, and he died very early. He got bitten by a tick, and I drove him down and buried him at my dad's farm. But on the way back, I didn't see him, but I felt his presence running along the hills as I was driving. And it really felt like that. He was free running along, and he was happy.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so...
And in the book I talk about the science of the illusion of perception.
Yeah.
I think, my brain tells me I'm seeing you. And I'm seeing Martin, the dog.
Yeah, Martin, he wants to dig on the carpet.
But this is just, a tiny portion of what we're experiencing. What's really happening is my heart and your heart are together, synchronised somehow.
Yeah.
My grandmother went blind, and I truly believe if the whole world was blind, we wouldn't have war. because we would meet one another from the heart. We wouldn't see race or, anything like that. We would. The perception through the eyes is particularly harmful and causes judgment. We judge someone by the colour of their skin or the way they dress and things like that. So when you had that experience of, your dog, and again, when those things happen, it's as if that's happening and we just have to be open to it. So again, you said before, some people don't seem to be having these experiences or whatever, and some do. And I think it's because some people are open to this and not ashamed or worried they'll be judged. So you're sitting there in the car driving home, overwhelmed with emotion, full of heart, and that heart energy would have opened you to receive what's there all the time. He could be sitting here on the sofa with
like
us.
a glimpse in there,
Again, because we don't see with our eyes people that have passed over, we think they're not here. They're here all the time.
Yeah. That's another thing that I just said about my mum, that there was nothing really before that she was talking to people, but after she died, my brother, my dad, we all went home after she was in the hospital, and there was a book on the table called Embraced by the Light. The book was just on the table, and it was about what happens after you die, and we couldn't believe that it was there. There's no way that
Yes. These are common stories. Honestly, Simone. But, it's the algorithms don't send you these things.
No.
But they're all there.
Yeah.
When my mum died, a similar thing happened. We came back from the, where we'd been doing some business as you do, getting ready for a funeral and things, and we came back into the house, and my youngest daughter and my dad were sitting at the dining table, and me and a couple of family members walked in, and they looked white as like white as ghosts.
Yeah.
And we said, "What's the matter?" And they said, "Just before you came in, the chair that Grandma used to sit on, we heard a noise and we turned around, and the remote was on the arm of her chair, and the television came on." and knowing what I know, I said, "How wonderful! She's here. She's part of everything." But my dad and my youngest were a bit startled. But exactly what you've said. And people think, well, how could a book of manifest? I'm telling you,
they're not too far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also there's different, I'm this person now, and there's a higher self and all the different selves that you have. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Do you talk about that in your therapy classes as well?
Well,
your therapy sessions?
I often say things like, what would your higher self be saying? Other clinicians will say things like, you're 30, but what would your 50-year-old self be saying? We're both saying the same things because the development from the soul between 30 and 50 is huge.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter if you say your 50-year-old self, because you will be at a slightly more enlightened way of seeing and being in the world.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you learn as you go, don't you?
I think
and
so.
You see more things and read more things.
And I think when you see someone that you think, they're either doing the wrong thing or whatever it is, it's just because they're going to take a little bit longer than you.
Yeah.
We can't judge people who aren't there yet.
Yeah,
We're not there yet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all a journey, isn't it? Another thing that you talked about was how you're learning just as much from your client as they are from you. I think that was the first wow moment in your book that I was like, what? What a special job you've got there.
Well, for all counsellors, what happens is a client will come and they will be telling a story, and there'll be what we call counter-transference, which means something that the client is saying to us, and even if a child client, they might say, Mum's always on the phone and she's yelling all the time. It's like, if anything from that client's story resonates with us, not only are we can be activated or triggered to go, oh, I remember this, but actually the fact it's activated us lets us know we haven't dealt with it. We haven't really thought through and released resentment around that happening to us. So as a counsellor, the ideal path is to more and more take what happens in the session as little memos for us to work on ourselves more. Otherwise, we might respond by having a judgmental thought, in the example of the child, about this child's mother who's yelling on their phone all the time. It's like, if we don't accept it's us that needs to change, we might then start judging the mother of the client.
Wow.
The client comes into our lives, and there always is a teaching for us.
Why did you get into counselling?
Well, my mum was a psychologist and a hypnotherapist, actually.
Oh, okay.
And I always told her off for that. I said, you're taking energy from the person so that they don't activate their own will to stop smoking or whatever it is. It's kind of like, to me, it was against the karmic path to do anything with hypnosis. But that's just my perspective, and that's how I always was with that. And I didn't really go for the psychology side of things, categorising people's problems. But I was a teacher, and within a couple of years of teaching, I remember standing in front of the class, and this lovely boy was climbing out of the window, grade 1, I think it was, for the third time that week. And then, I remember thinking, I didn't think, what do I need to do to help him be sitting on the chair? I remember thinking, I've met his mum a couple of times, and I think she needs help.
Right.
I was standing in front of this class thinking, my heart's passion, devotion, vocation isn't actually here, even though people said, oh, you're a great teacher, I knew it was working with people, often parents.
Obviously, you're a very great teacher because, from going to teaching to helping people and now to writing your new book.
But, teaching, education means to draw out. So I don't actually believe in me or anyone implanting knowledge in people. It's creating conditions where, out of curiosity or engagement or interest, a person, brings out from themselves something that helps them learn something. And, rather than the person's a blank slate, and I'm going to write on it.
Yeah. So when you meet people, they're there there's a saying, isn't there? Like they're there for a season or a reason or something.
Yeah.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah. We have all these little, colloquial sayings.
You've got a lot of great quotes in your book. There was a couple of that I actually thought, oh, that's amazing. Let me have a little look here that I've written them down. Habit is habit and not to be flung out the window, but coaxed downstairs one step at a time. By
Mark Twain. Mark Twain was just an amazing... He was so alert. He could embrace a picture of the whole of America. If you can read anything from Mark Twain, it's amazing. He's the one that said, make your vocation your vacation.
I say that a lot. I say that to my kids. Like, you're going to be doing whatever it is a long time. So whatever it might be, and it might change over the years, make sure you love it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mark Twain, for that. He could see that. Wouldn't it be a different world if everyone was doing what they loved or what what their passion is?
Well, that's like wanting utopia, Simone.
Look, it's not much to ask.
Well, I don't know, because,
That's when we stop learning, is that what you're saying?
If everything's perfect.
Yeah.
If you can, at any time, go and buy as much petrol from the Bowser as you want, and if you can open the fridge and there's always food in it, and everyone's happy, there's no arguments, This isn't living on Earth. Earth isn't made for utopia. It's made for lessons. And, even what's happening in the world now or 10 years ago or, whatever time, we keep learning these lessons. And from my perspective, incrementally, our hearts are the things that are growing. Because, if we see some injustice, maybe 100 years ago, everyone would have said, oh, well, they deserved it, just hang them,
Yeah.
People don't do that now.
No, we are growing.
We are.
And getting more accepting.
Yeah.
You write about your heart being a spiritual organ. the spiritual organ, and you actually proved it to yourself with the heart regulator thing that you talk about in your book. How did that understanding first come, that it's actually the spiritual organ?
Well, it's in all the ancient teachings, you know.
Yeah. No,
and
I didn't
in
read them.
past times, people were not in their heads. The knowledge, they could see that the heart was special. They felt the heart. We're you know, people in the 21st century are just kind of in their heads. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the fault of the education system. So hopefully all the children that are refusing to go to school at the moment are going to be the impetus to shake up the schooling system.
Yeah.
So I don't think, oh, we've got to get these kids back to school. I think fantastic.
Yeah, so do I.
You know?
Me too.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they don't teach you anything, like, not even life skills, really. So you don't get the life skills, and you don't get any of the other stuff
So the
there.
heart's the same. If you close your heart to someone, that bitterness is only in you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, through life, that's what's happened to me, is the times I've, you know, judged someone or closed my heart off to someone or whatever. It's like, only I have suffered, only I have become more kind of tainted with a lack of love, really.
How do you keep your heart open? What do you think actually, makes it shut down? Is probably
Judgment.
the first question.
It's all about judgment. And the problem is, our eyes tell us something.
It's not hurt. Hurt is judgment.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to explain. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to come and see you a bit more.
Look, the heart is very powerful. You know, I talk about in the book how you know, the electromagnetic field, the magnetic field from the heart is hugely more powerful than the ones from the brain. So we've got the science there, but we don't understand what that actually means for human beings.
Yeah.
A lot of scientists still think, oh, there's a brain and we can weigh the brain and measure it, or do an MRI, and here's an arm and here's a leg and here's a heart. And only recently has the idea that the heart is actually a pump, that's not believed anymore. That's been proven not to be the case.
Wow.
It's actually this, you know, vortex that moves the blood. The energies are moving in a vortex that move the blood. So, you know, there's so much we don't know.
I know. We've come so far and we still don't know anything. Because also you can talk about the gut, your gut instinct as well, right?
I love that. I love it. That's not one of the areas I talk about, but I talk about intuition.
Yeah.
But a lot of people use that, you know, my gut knew I shouldn't have, you know, taken that job or whatever.
So we've got more than one brain in all of those things.
Yeah.
I also like towards the end of the book that you talk about electricity, and that how you're still asking what it is.
Oh, yeah.
I love that, because I kind of think that with frequency. I kind of see frequencies as little different characters almost, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you do your investigating then? Do you look into what do you think it is?
It's a gift. There's an ancient story from, I think, the Greek times where the humans are given fire by one of the gods.
Yeah.
And to me, electricity's like that. You know, centuries ago, we didn't have electricity to plug in, but we all saw the electrical lightning in storms and things like that. But we've been able to create electricity and bring it into a physical reality so that we can click a switch here and over there the light goes on. Now the electricity does not move, because that's what we were taught in school. It moves through the wire.
Yeah, that's
no,
what
it
I
doesn't.
thought.
So that's all been disproved.
Right, as well.
Right, yeah. And it's incredibly complex, but I do have this science background and was always interested in these things. So I'm all the time looking. You know, most people are scrolling on, you know, where to go on holidays, and I'm scrolling on what is electricity, you know, and those kind of things.
That's so fascinating. Yeah, quantum physics, you love it, don't you?
I know.
It's such an interesting field, and it is really Moorish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay not to know. I think that's the most important thing. I don't know everything, you know. It's okay not to know, but to be curious questing for knowledge along the way.
Did you learn a lot writing your new book?
I was able to bring together a lot of the things I knew without that sounding that I know everything. But there was a lot of more recent research, 2025, 2024, that I hadn't come across that I was able to bring in. So
That's good. And who did you write it for?
Well, it's funny that the counselling profession, the therapy profession, is still fairly conservative.
Yeah, so they don't like woo-woo.
Yeah, and internal family systems therapy has been going for about 20 years, Dr. Richard Schwartz. And when I came across his work, I remember thinking, I don't really go for this part. So, you've got a protective part and you've got this part. It didn't fit with how I saw a human soul. And then, again, last year, I heard Richard Schwartz on a podcast saying, actually, spiritual beings come into my counselling sessions and ancestors. And he said in this podcast, this isn't new. It's been happening for a long time. I didn't want to disclose it because they wouldn't be a member of the club anymore.
Oh.
As a psychologist, And so I'm writing it. I need to be quite brave.
Yeah.
I'm writing it for people that are ready to go there. And clearly it's a global thing because he's there in America. He's on the Harvard Medical School board or whatever, whatever thing is there.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just me. So the courage to do it is for anyone else that is interested.
Well, it is human, really, isn't it, to kind of think about, especially thinking about death and afterlife. And some people want to choose to believe there is something. Some people think there's nothing. There's just sleep. So
and we are lucky at the moment that there are a lot of resources on the internet. Now, there's a lot of anything that you click that has an AI voice, don't even go there.
Yeah.
Right? Because they will take a text, ancient or more modern.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you click something and an AI voice comes and it seems scientific or spiritual, don't even listen to it. Because someone will have used AI to read a text, ancient or modern physics, science or spiritual stuff. And it's actually not authentic. It's not even done correctly.
Yeah.
I think it's done to confuse us, really.
I think so
So
too.
you've got to go to the original texts, which are still available. And
either read it or listen to it in an authentic voice.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. That's what I'm barracking for here.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad you did your audiobook with
I
me
know.
rather than, the AI track. Yeah, because AI is really confusing. You actually do bring a little bit of AI into your book as well about the kids having greater friendships with an AI than a real heart connection. That's sad. Let's not make the world go down that road.
Well, we've got to trust in the ever-present help of the spiritual world to guide mankind now. For those that want to be guided to do what's right and feels right in the heart.
Oh, that's really special. That's really special.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big advocate for, look, I'm not saying I haven't used ChatGPT. I have, but I've also worked with some amazing authors, particularly Felicity Hill, who's done Our AI, her book, that she went to write a book and ended up writing a completely different book that was about AI, and I've learned so much from her that, it's just... We need to really be there for each other and to shine our authenticity.
Be ourselves.
Yeah. Quotes, Dr. Bonnie Badenoch, what we feel inside about somebody is the loudest voice in the room, no matter what we say on the outside.
So true. And again, people think, someone's going to hear my words and I'm going to say, thank you very much, but they'll pick up not just our facial expressions, but how we actually feel about them. So it's no good just coming out with some words if it's not congruent with actually how you feel about that person.
That's a very important message, Kim. Then Thich Nhat Hanh basically said, don't just do something, sit there.
Yeah.
That's speaking loudly to me, because I like to do things all the time.
Well, again, at the moment, we're trapped on the screen to be doing something which is scrolling.
Yeah, that's...
And the addictive nature of moving our finger along the screen and scrolling or clicking or whatever it is actually robs us of something, because the energy from the heart comes out through the arms. So at the end of this, we're going to have a big hug, and I'm going to put my arms around you. You're going to put your arms around me.
Yeah.
That's the correct way to use the energy, the spiritual energy that is in each of us as a human being. Whereas if we're scrolling, what we're doing is something that is kind of counter to human evolution. We're actually descending into the depths of something else.
Wow.
So it's not a small thing.
No.
How trapped we are. And I think in the book...
Do you think there's a spirit here, like, trying to push us down some path that we shouldn't be going?
Well, the thing is, it's a temptation. It's a test. Everything's a test. It's like everyone's seen the marshmallow test. They put the marshmallow in front of the baby and they say, I'm going to leave the room, don't eat it. And if you don't eat it, I'll give you extras. Everything's a test. So that you're given the screen, given the phone, it's a test. Are you going to go in that direction and waste hours of your life? How precious is your life?
Yeah.
Or can you see that's actually an anti-evolutionary path?
Well, that's good. Collectively, on your own, it's a bad path. Collectively, it's also a bad path.
Yeah.
So
although it puts us in contact with each other, there's the yin yang of the screen.
Well, that brings us back to the Annette's net.
Yes, Indra's net.
Indra's net.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
All of these topics that we're talking about are in Kim's book, Integrating Spiritual Conversations in Therapy, and it's incredible. I could chat here all day. I literally could chat here all day.
Oh.
But look, obviously, people probably want to have a conversation with you. How can they find you?
Well, I've got a website, kimbillington.com.au.
Yeah, thank you for choosing to do this with me and reading your audiobook to me. And I hope that you enjoyed the chat today on the podcast, Kim.
I did, thank you, because talking about these things are important in the world today. So I appreciate you being here asking me the questions so that I can share some of the answers.
Awesome,
today.
Thank you. And if you've enjoyed this chat, please like the video, please share the video. Sharing the video gets Kim Billington's word out and our conversation out to people that really need to hear it. And if you like this conversation and maybe you're an author, you want to record your audiobook, I'd love to chat with you. Get in touch, and thanks for listening to the Simone Filer podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Simone Filer podcast.
Thanks so much.
Subscribe to the channel, giving authors a platform.
Thank you very much.
And make your audiobook dream a reality with Simone Filer, the audiobook queen. Find out more at audiobookaustralia.com.
Well, thanking you kindly.